since I've been an adult, I always have, or having been interested at school. I mean, I've never done anything else. I mean, I've done things to live off, but I've never done anything else. I've always wanted to make art, and I don't know. I guess when I was 14, 15, I was very interested in art history, and I didn't feel like I had any kind of natural talent or ability, but I had a lot of interest. So I guess that's what got me started. And I think the easiest way to answer that question, because it is a difficult question, is to say that I guess I'm curious-minded, and this is a way to engage the world in all kinds of different and interesting ways. It allows me to dabble in all kinds of fields of research, and sometimes superficially, or sometimes on a surface level, and other times going quite deep into that. And so, it's a way that I find functioning in the world really meaningful, I guess. The invitation to take part in the residency here was a really great one, and I was living over in Berlin at the time, and I was really excited to come home and make a body of work. And it so happened that a couple of opportunities came up at the same time, so there was a way to sort of tether them and join them together, which I was quite interested in. And that often with exhibitions, it's about whittling down and kind of refinement, but dividing this show up into 3 parts allows me to sort of explore things in broader ways, but also, as you'll see in the show, things are quite tightly knit once the exhibition comes together. So the 3 parts of the exhibition are that the first part being here, the second part being at the Dunedin Public Art Gallery, and the third being at Art Space in Auckland, and they're more or less 2 months apart from opening to opening. And they're all titled Radiant Matter, Part 1 through 3. And so, yeah, I guess I was interested in exploring a set of ideas through three prisms almost. So, whereas the show here deals with vapors and material and transformative states, each show has threads throughout. So there's conceptual and material links throughout. So each has each show has a perfume work. Each show has there's a lot of glass in the work, and glass is a material that I'm becoming increasingly interested in particular because its properties as being both a liquid and a solid simultaneously. So it's full of sort of promise for these sorts of sculptural concerns for me, I think. So yeah, the idea was to come down and make a body of work for the Gallery 1 and 2 here at the Govett-Brewster. And there is one work in the show, I think, that attempts to anchor itself here quite firmly, and that's the work Landing the Sea, which is where there's a photographic document of this kind of action in which I attempted it's an attempt to collect the spray of the sea. And I guess being on the coast here, it was it's an interesting space in that it's where liquid meets solid in a very kind of large sense of the term. So I wanted to try and work with that space, that moment where a gaseous or a gas is formed from the collision of solid and liquid. And so this work is an attempt to collect that sea spray in a way. And yeah, I mean, and of course the residency just gives you an amazing opportunity to kind of think and make and do. So it's been incredible for that. Perfume is a material that I've been working with for a couple of years now. I've been working with a couple of perfumers, one in Spain and one in France. And I guess I came to perfume through an interest in things that border invisibility, things that sit on a threshold of invisibility. And in some ways, I was thinking about perfume as a kind of dissipated sculpture, that it's a kind of an exploded form of sculpture. So it still has form, and yet it's dissipated in the air. So it's kind of it's microscopic in its scope, and yet it's spatially very present. And so I wanted to try and make a perfume work for each part of this project, this Radiant Matter, Part 1 through 3. So the work here is a perfume that is titled Your Memory of Rain. So it's the smell of or it conjures the memory of rain in the city. So it's a kind of concrete rain. It's not a natural rain that you might smell in a forest or something. It's got a cementy, city, urban kind of smell to it. And the other thing I really love about perfume is, in terms of its scope and possibility in this context, is that it is literally a sculpture that enters the brain, that it does actually penetrate your body. So when we smell something, it's molecules emanating off that object or that site or that situation these molecules are entering your brain. So yeah, it's a digestible kind of sculpture in a way, and perfume also, or sorry, smell has a strong connection to memory, and that the olfactory bulb is located right next to long-term memory. So these things are quite interwoven. And I think again, like it has there's a lot of scope and possibility in the material, or in this very esoteric field of perfume. It's full of possibility, and I think our sense of smell is something that's often sort of neglected sensorially. So, like for example, when we describe smells, we always borrow from other senses. We borrow from sight. We borrow from touch. We talk about smells being sharp or being, I don't know, heady, or we talk about them being, we relate them to colors or objects. So yeah, it's kind of, I think it's a very interesting field to be working in. It's holding my attention for now. This is an idea of using dehumidifiers in a gallery that I had a little while ago, and I never had the chance to sort of flesh it out and work out how it might work in a space. And yeah, I was just very interested in utilizing the gallery in a way, like pulling on the gallery environment by capturing the liquid in the air. So again, it relates in that it's vaporous in nature. The work, I mean, it has that at its center. But yeah, the idea was to take this dehumidifier, sit it in a gallery, and let it collect liquid out of the air in the space, and then to build something solid from that. So in a sense, the work has a kind of looping logic, that it becomes, there's a gas in the air that's collected as a liquid that's then turned into a solid. And the bubble wrap is a kind of ubiquitous, material present in the gallery context. And I think that I'm pulling from the gallery, from the air of the gallery to collect material, and that this is a material that's very present in the gallery. And also it is a kind of membrane of small air bubbles. So in its materiality itself, it is kind of captured air. And the suspended cube work. Yeah, I was thinking about a couple of pieces. So there are a couple of art historical references there. I mean, one of them is maybe a little evident, and the other not so clear. But the one that's not so clear was the Felix González Torres piece, The Perfect Lovers, where there's these two clocks that tick in perfect unison. And I thought that the way these two machines loop each other was somehow interesting in that. And the other being Ed Ruscha's, the title escapes me now. Yeah, it's gone.